Mascara-stained tears trickling down my cheeks, leaving a stain of the fears that repeatedly reappear when my once naive ears are electrocuted by the sound of sirens. Nose polluted with the smells of weed, fast food and beer, warning away newcomers' senses, screaming, "You don't want to be here. Be gone. Run. Disperse. Disappear." The conditions that we live in mean my nan can't visit without looking over her shoulder in fear. We're exposed to things that make it inevitable we grow up before our time. Dreaming of revisiting 99, when I saw the world through the shield of my mum's white net curtains. Prospects were bright, and nothing is certain. Haven't we got enough rights in this so-called democracy to question humanity without them questioning our sanity? Told we have choices, yet they question our voices when our ideas don't complement the ideology they want us to believe in. Policies intentionally misleading, so they're successful in our deceiving. Yet we're partially to blame if they're achieving of the blatant manipulation of how our thoughts process, when political stimulation is only sourced from the Daily Mail or programmes that benefit Street. So we allow them to defeat us by turning us against a system that we'd all have been lost without, regardless of your background, class or income. A system that we've all needed without a doubt, whether it was child tax credit, the NHS or state education. Told that uni is the best preparation, but if I had other options I'd drop out without hesitation, because we leave with the same uncertainty that we felt before we started. The lack of security at the cost of all that debt leaves you in the optimistic disheartened. So frequent we remember our country's history in shame. There's no justification for what happened during the slave trade, when we as humans who from birth are conditioned to love betrayed this makeup. Not so long ago we had children as young as 7, buried by their parents and welcomed to heaven, as they had their childhood stolen when forced to work down in the mines. And despite the fact we look upon these times in shame, can we really say that things have changed? Because it's not in front of our faces, we turn a blind eye to what happens elsewhere. Then when Children in Need is on TV, everyone momentarily cares. Let's take a moment to think of the kids in Indian sweatshops, working in conditions hot and overcrowded. Basic human rights. They're not allowed this. Working day and night in buildings which surround us and miles from their houses. On a daily basis, subjected to disease, and most of these kids can only dream of degrees, or even a primary education. All because we here belong to a nation that's saturated by things of a materialistic value. I think it's time we evaluated who we have feeding our consumerism and greed. Innocent lives catering to the needs of a capitalist society. Can someone please enlighten me as to why this is still allowed? If we as a country weren't so obsessed and aroused by clothes, iPads and shoes, but took the time out to watch the news or documentaries that share the views of those who die for the same things we take for granted. Misplaced worth upon our superficial desires. Encouraged by artificial smiles, misleading the impressionable into believing that brands speak for us and somehow make us more important or credible. Minds of those whose perspectives are merely one-dimensional. It's become so disappointingly acceptable to disperse of things still wearable, for no other reason than they're no longer in season. Ethical. These fabrications and misuse of the word are ever so disrespectful. I mean, I can't deny I died a little inside when I saw Zara's Spring/Summer 14 collection. Or I didn't tell my friends that the all-white Huaraches are the epitome of perfection. But I try not to let an obsession with purchases consume me. We can begin by acknowledging the deception that new possessions will equate to happiness, making a difference to our lives in the world that we live in. Maybe even be a little bit more giving to the less fortunate. And by change, I don't mean changing our outfits. I mean changing our minds and the minds of the next generation.